Welcome everyone back to Mr. Dar Weather Updates. We'll have a look at the ECMWF 30-day outlook today to see what the weather's going to be in store for the final 10 days of July and the rest of August as a 30-day forecast. Remember, this is a long-range forecast, not a medium range, so I'll be getting to the normal videos later on today. It will be quite late actually when I upload, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock because I'm going out. So just to warn you, it'll be quite late, but for my regular forecast. But that's how it is, unfortunately. So if we do have a look at the live now, let's say now forecast from NetWeather, we'll just update it. You can see this is the live conditions. You can see here we've got quite a comfortable morning actually, a bit mild in some areas. You can see here as we go further north, as you expect, more cooler. Some localised regions are in the single figures. For example, if we go up to Stornoway, I think that is, it's about low teens and high single digits. So, but still quite pleasant temperatures though. Hence the single digits if you go more further south. Other sheltered regions, but yeah, some areas around 90 degrees in my area. As we go further south, quite similar actually. High teens, but some areas that's getting to the low 20s, where we're going to see the highest temperature today. 21 Celsius already recorded in Exeter airport, so that's 21 degrees is the highest we've seen so far in terms of temperatures. So quite a pleasant day once again today. If we do have a look at the humidity levels, again quite comfortable actually in terms of humidity, about 60% on average. Obviously as we go for the south, it's a bit drier than average really, about late 40s, 55% there, 56% in the city airport, 50% in Heathrow. Let's go further southwest, 40% with the highest temperatures of course. Another quite dry day actually, not much humidity out really, and obviously hence the low dew points. High single digits, low teens, which is quite low actually. That was a bit annoying really. Even in Scotland, we're quite low in terms of dew points. So that's like low single digits. I think the highest I've seen, mid-teens really. 13 degrees is the highest I've seen in the dew points, which is, quite low actually, but not too bad. Looking at the gusts, quite calm actually in terms of the wind. That's the wind speed actually, but yeah, quite calm. Not much in terms of gusts really. Still got quite a strong area. I do apologise about that, it fell off. So hope you can hear me again. So sorry about that, but yeah, quite calm. The pressure is very high at the moment, 1027, 2028 millibars at 850 HPA. Even in northern Scotland, in fact, even stronger, where that the high pressure is. This is where the high pressure is in the Atlantic. So 1032 in the Eastern Island there. So very, very high pressure, really high for the time of year. If we do have a look at the Met Office Hadley Centre's NetWeather central temps for the month, you can see CT is sitting at 20.2. That is 4.2 degrees above the 61 to 1990 average provisional to the 18th. So very, very hot, really, than average. Very, very warm, really. It's not really a record-breaking heat, let's say, the heat wave 3. It's more like prolonged. That's why the CT is so high. That means it's quite high for quite a long time as well. And you can see here, this is how the graph shows it as well. And you can see how it compares to the CT of obviously average of 91 to 1990. As we would be around 16 or 17 for the time of year, but we're well above that. So I expect it to finish around 19 or 18 as the unsettled spell comes to an end. If we do have finally look at the 2-meter temperatures for the ECM for a 46-day period, between this week we are, we're obviously warmer than average, around 1 to 3 degrees above the average range, especially in the southwestern areas, a little bit cooler in the east. Obviously that's where we've still got quite a dominant easterly breeze there for the week. But that wind will be shifting. See, in a very small portion of Scotland, there is a bit of below average at times. Only in that area. Otherwise, the rest of the areas quite above average. Quite similar to next week. Still around 1 to 3 degrees above average in the south central areas. About a degree or two above average in the north, and around average in Scotland and Northern Islands. But as a trend, it's above average really. Still got some, patches there. To the 3rd and the 10th, we're a little bit hotter actually. This time a 1 to 3, perhaps even 4 degrees above average, especially in in the continent. Paris could be a bit of a heat wave forming there. I'm not going to say that too much, but yeah, could definitely be well above average for the time of year. Same goes for the 10th and the 17th of August, well above average. On average, 1 to 2 degrees above average in Scotland and Northern England. And then 2 to 3, perhaps 4 degrees above average in Central and Southern England. Just retreat a little bit more to around average in middle August, but still lingering 1 to 2 degrees above average in most of areas. And at the very end of August, still a bit above average, about 1 degree above average, but around average in Scotland. So generally looking like a warmer than average month, really. Which is quite easy to say, really. It has been quite like that. This is the average seasonal 2-metre temperatures for the whole month. And you can see at average, we are at least around... where's the key gone? Can't seem to find it now. But yeah, I think we're... On average, I think we're around 1 to 3 degrees above average. Really, I don't think we're ever going to get below average for this month of March. Well, for now, until September. But yeah, as an average, the 2-metre temperatures are well above average in the edge of the atmosphere. If we do have a look at the mean sea level pressure, this is the weekly anomalies. You can see. Let me just take a picture of this. We've got this is weak. We've got a high pressure ridging to the Atlantic that will bring a warm. No, this will bring a quite settled feature for this week, bring a north to northwesterly airflow still from the Atlantic, so that's going to block any Atlantic distance for this week. Low pressure to the south, that probably was very unlikely to come here, so very strong ridging to the Atlantic, so no Atlantic activity for this week. However, as we move into next week, we have finally some low pressures to the north. So we've got some low pressure to the north, but still have a bit of Atlantic ridging though in the Atlantic, so still could bring some settled weather. It's never too far away, is the high pressure. Very dominant this year. But yeah, lower than average pressure in the northeast, around neutral in the north, in the southwest though. So that could obviously bring perhaps a northerly, probably northwesterly wind. Really, so bringing showers, long spells of rain, most likely. Nothing really exceptional though in terms of how much we're going to get. Moving into the 3rd to the 10th of August, the high pressure could build in once again throughout the Atlantic and England and basically all of Europe. So no room at all, and quite a strong signal for how long it is, with quite dominant high pressure. Probably I'm guessing southwesterly wind maybe. But very, very dominant high pressure at the moment. And you can see right there, it's everywhere. No signs of low pressure in this anomaly at all. Oh dear. No signal at all, isn't there? But the 10th to the 17th, we are seeing high pressure to south. Bit of northern blocking maybe. Could be some low pressure, I guess. But not much signal going on there. Maybe a bit of a trough forming. But I'm not, a little bit unsure about that. But, that high pressure to the south could move in, or we could have some low pressure forming there if that north blocking strengthens. Very similar to August, but I think there's a little bit more uncertainty about unsettled weather really. There's a bit more Atlantic ridging going on into the Atlantic, but a little bit of neutral tones. A little bit of a question mark about that. I'm not too sure about that actually, but it could be that we could see southwesterly airflow maybe coming from the high pressure maybe. I think that's the most likely occurrence rather than just a southerly wind. Probably more of a westerly wind could dominate. We've still got a high pressure system into the south. Again, that could actually drift up, not too much, to get some high pressure to us, so it could happen. And then looking at the end of August, still quite uncertain really. Still got Atlantic ridging, so that's always there. I think that's the Azore side, that's always been there really. signs of some low pressure. You know, it's unlikely actually, but if that high pressure does give way, we could see some, I guess, some troughs forming, but very, very weak signal about if there is going to be low pressure actually. Looking at that 500 hectopascal weekly mean anomalies, this should give us a little bit of a better idea if we do see high pressure or low pressure. This is above the surface this time. We've got very strong high pressure. This is the Azores high. It's the Atlantic, blocking any Atlantic systems. We have got some lower than average pressure in the rest of Europe, so this is like Western Europe. High pressure to the Spain and Portugal area, and a thundery low here. But the most likely we're going to get north to northwesterly winds coming from that high pressure as well. So bringing quite settled conditions at times. Again, we've got a bit of low pressure to the northwest. That will bring some unsettled weather at times. Still have that high pressure. All that's done is moved a little bit to get some more Atlantic systems and a bit more of a neutral pattern. But I think this is all just low pressure really. Bringing some fairly unsettled conditions, but not too exceptional in terms of it being very unsettled, I'd say. As we move into the 3rd to the 10th, unfortunately, we still have a bit of high pressure forming. We still could see a bit of thundery troughs forming if we get the right ingredients. That could be a southwesterly theme if that had to happen, but high pressure very dominant in that week, if I'm being completely honest. Not really much signs of anything that unsettled between the 3rd and the 10th, with higher than average pressure at, you know, that area. Oops, skipping ahead a little bit. Let me just go back. Again, 10th and 3rd, not much signal for anything actually. We've got a bit of northern blocking there, got some high pressure to the continent. Again, that wouldn't make too much for that to drift up to England really. But I think we could see some, again, I'm going to put a question mark on it, but I think we could see a little bit of Atlantic there. Not really great amount of signals for actually, but could be a little bit changeable, you know, it depends really if that, again, if that northern blocking strengthens, which is actually unlikely, or we get that high pressure to the south moving in. And very similar to 17th and 24th, if not a little bit more uncertain. High pressure sort of builds into the Atlantic, but still could be, you know, quite settled. High pressure to the north, high pressure to the south as well. So could be still quite settled actually, but could see maybe a bit changeable. But again, a bit of a question mark on what will happen there. And then to the end, high pressure to the Atlantic. That could move in, bring a westerly, southwesterly direction if that happened. So, you know, not too bad there. Finally, looking at the precipitation mean anomalies, this should hopefully give us a better idea. Dry and average for the week, especially in northwestern areas. Next week, just break up a little bit. We've got some higher than average precipitation in the north, around about 20 to 30% though, confidence about that. But still could be a little bit drier in the southwest. The 3rd to 10th, a bit drier than average in the southeast, more average in the northwest. 10th to 17th, wetter than average in Ireland and Scotland, may reach England. Could be a bit wetter than average there, maybe. Similar to the mid of August. Southwestern areas most likely to see the more rain. Otherwise, not too. A little bit of a weak signal there for precipitation, actually. And an even more weak signal for the end of August. A bit of uncertainty there, a bit of a question mark. So that's basically what we are expecting for August. So, you know, a bit of mixed between low pressure and high pressure, maybe, is the most likely occurrence with some hot spells likely. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.